Let's join these two yarn ends with the Russian join. I've got a tail from the knitted piece I'm working on, and I have the tail from the working yarn that I need to add. I'm going to take a yarn needle, I'm going to thread just about an inch of the tail from my sweater through the yarn needle and just run the needle back through the yarn just like this. Just put the needle tip through the middle of the yarn. Go for maybe 3 inches, just like that. And what I like to do is just pull on, I'm just going to hold this side of the yarn and I'm going to pull the tail through. Make sure you keep a loop here. I'm just going to pull the tail through where I ran the needle through the yarn, just like that. And I'm leaving a little loop in here. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with the tail of the new yarn that I'm adding. I'm going to thread the yarn through the needle, and I'm going to put the needle through that loop that I made before and run the needle through the yarn. Just right down the center. This works especially well with plied yarns. I don't know that this would work well with a single ply yarn. I've not tried that. But in this case it works pretty well, and you really can't see the join, which is one thing that I really like about the Russian join. And I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to hold on to the loop here. I'm going to pull that tail through where I put the needle in. Okay, we're not done yet because we see that we've got some loops here that we need to deal with. So to close those up, I find the little tail that's peeking out of here from when I ran the needle through, and I just want to hold on to the tail and pull the yarn up to close that loop. I'm just pulling it upwards, and now you can see that that loop is pretty much closed. A little bit more, just adjusting it so that the loop is super small. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Find that little tail where it's poking out of there, grab onto it, and just adjust the yarn so that the loop closes up, and you'll see it close up on itself. So just keep going until it's closed up, and then you can pull the yarn and cut those tails off. And just like that, you've got a pretty invisible join, and I just go ahead and knit like I normally would, and you can't see it. I'll show you that. I'll show you how it looks when it's knitted into the sweater. I've knit 2 rows past where I used the join, the Russian join, and those stitches are right along here. You really can't see anything on the right side, and you don't see anything on the wrong side either, and I have no tails to weave in when using this method, since you've already weaved in your tails when you joined the yarn. So there's nothing to weave in, and that's about it. Now that being said, you can't see where where that join is in my knitting here, But I'm knitting, you know, I used it on the edge of this sweater. I really wouldn't recommend using it in the middle of a sweater because I just think that you probably would notice it. Maybe nobody else would notice it, but you would probably notice it. Because when you do the Russian join, because you joined the two yarns together, it creates a bit of a thicker section. So for me, in this case, I had about 4 stitches or so that were, you know, the yarn in that section was a little thicker than normal. Still, you can't see it, but I know it's there. That's why I wouldn't recommend using it in the, you know, in the middle of a sweater. But that's the Russian join. I really like it because I don't have any ends to weave in when I use that method.